They informed him that no more rooms were available until a different person entered. What they wasn't sure if that was the man he wasn't just any traveler who was denied. Snoop Dogg, a world-renowned rapper, has the ability to change their destiny. The rain arrived in sheets and began banging wildly. Snoop's stylish blue SUV's roof as he arrived at the round driveway of Long Beach's Regal Horizon Hotel, the golden glow of the world. New York chandeliers spilled onto the damp surface, pavement that exudes a sense of elegance. The hotel served as a haven for the majority of a comfortable haven for tired travelers, but Snoop didn't encounter that kind of greeting. He exited his vehicle. The collar of his recognizable black, wearing a gold jacket at 6'2", with a dominant Snoop's presence was difficult to overlook. The soft echoes of polished shoes on the A's. He walked inside the lobby, the marble floor. The air was filled with the aroma of freshly cut roses. Finish up with the softer scent of coffee. From the adjacent lounge, Snoop walked up to the front desk with his iconic, easy smile, "Good night." His voice was soft and soothing as he said, "I'd like my flight was given a room for the night. Delayed, and I'll require lodging." Prior to capturing the subsequent one in front of a younger man working as a desk clerk with slicked a name badge and back blonde hair, that Aiden hardly looked up his fingers as he read. Slowly typed while hovering over the keyboard. He purposefully said, "I'm sorry, sir," with a tone that was not at all sorry. Where Snoop looked around, the fully booked lobby wasn't busy in the gentle. The elevator's bell signaled the arrival of. He leaned on just one other visitor. His smile remained constant as he leaned forward slightly. "Totally booked, yet you claim there isn't a single?" At last, Aiden stared up his lips in the room. "That's right," curving into a faint smile. Nothing is available. Prior to Snoop could react to the spinning revolving doors open, and a couple in their middle years came in. Behind them, their luggage were rolling. Aiden's attitude abruptly changed to his. His tone changed and his smile expanded. "Welcome to the Regal Horizon, honeyed." The man trembled. "Do you have a reservation?" He nodded, and the clerk did the same. Enthusiastically, "No issue, allow me to see if it was available." Snoop stood there, his composed exterior gradually sliding. He observed Aiden tapping the keyboard. Once more, and in a matter of seconds created a room essential for the couple. "Have fun while you're there," Aiden, Snoop said cheerfully as they left. Pulled Aiden's throat clear. "Return my focus. I believed you were completely booked." Aiden's gaze wavered. For a moment, his rehearsed smile stumbling. "I meant that we don't have anything that would be appropriate for you." Snoop felt the gravity of the situation. It wasn't about availability to settle in. It had nothing to do with him being last or late. Manite. It had to do with something really unsightly. The insight struck, but Snoop didn't. Instead of reacting, he straightened his posture, his face inscrutable. "Thank you. Thank you for your time," he said in a tone that calm as if he had come in without. He pivoted on his heel and spoke another syllable. Decided to go outside in the rain, but this wasn't at night's end. It was just the Snoop started by re-entering the. Despite the sting, the rain helped him to relax. Of the interaction, he stood beneath the awning, allowing the rain to patter against the canopy overhead, filling the quiet and drawing. He pulled out his phone and browsed a list of hotels in the area, but his focus stayed glued to the rotating doors. Something about the scene behind him had just seen hovering like a dim odor that persisted. He leaned in, lightly leaning against a marble column, just close but out of the lobby's view. It took little time to see enough for the confirmation of his suspicions. A 20-something man wears cargo pants, and he saw a hoodie walk in. The traveler put his backpack over one shoulder. Snoop observed over his shoulder as the man went up to Aiden and made the same request he had created a space just minutes before, for the Snoop was unable to hear the conversation that night. However, he didn't have to use Aiden's pronounced nods and broad smiles. In a matter of seconds, the man was presented a key card without hesitation. Just an excuse for a quick transaction, and a Snoop's lips pressed in a polite farewell into a solid line. It wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. It wasn't an accident. He stayed a second longer. Considering his next course of action, The first impulse was to confront the clerk, exposing the hypocrisy in the lobby, but years of figuring out the song business and industry had taught him the virtue of self-control. There was a period when tonight was a moment to talk and an opportunity to act. He slipped back into his automobile after the latter. His back felt chilly against the leather seat. As he departed in his car, the golden hiss rear-view mirror's lights were going out, and concepts started to take shape. Although it was about everyone, not just him. Someone who could have experienced the same silent rejection, but lacked the ways or the ability to protest it. Snoop wasn't going to overlook this. The wipers won't be on tonight. Rhythmically danced while Snoop maneuvered Long Beach's damp streets, his thoughts replayed the hotel's refusal. He wasn't. Not as a wound, but as gasoline. Anger squandered energy instead of felt more concentrated and acute. Perseverance he had devoted decades to establishing his empire through outwitting those who ever undervalued him tonight would remind himself and other people how important of justice and decency. He drew into the adjacent diner's parking lot, modest location, with a red neon sign that glows. That read "Mo eats inside" the odor all the time of steaming bacon and coffee welcomed him. Snoop slipped into a window-facing booth. A waitress took out his laptop, came over with a hot coffee mug. Putting it down silently, he nodded in gratitude and started typing. Snoop had been frantically observing for several months. The Regal Horizon Hotel property was a link in a chain that was having trouble, and rumors of its sale had made their way to his team during a standard meeting for investments. He hadn't really thought about it at the time. It was a tiny fish in comparison to he often explored international ventures. But everything inside had altered tonight. He had called his lawyer Laura for many minutes. A savvy negotiator, Reynolds has a reputation for completing transactions at Laura. "I need the lightning-fast documents pertaining to the Regal Horizon Hotel. Completed by sunrise," he stated in a commanding but steady, "Sunrise, Snoop." "Even you are ambitious," Laura echoed, caught off surprise. "Think it's finished, Laura," he answered in a tone that left no space for discussion. "Forward the documents to my phone. I'll sign it as soon as it's prepared." He hung up electronically and gazed out, observing the rain outside the window over the following few, streaked down the glass. Snoop's crew put in many hours to complete the transaction. By the first, as morning broke, the sky was painted in gentle shades of pink and orange are the norm. The Regal Horizon Hotel was sealed. After shutting down his laptop, Snoop his coffee had gone cold, yet he took a big inhale. He was indifferent to what the actual task was about. The morning sun first glinted off the Regal Horizon's glass facade hotel as Snoop got out of his vehicle. He exuded a calm confidence. Elegantly attired in a specially created jacket, he repositioned his sunglasses and looked up at the structure. It was polished and represents exclusivity. Today's exterior conceals the imperfections underneath the hotel's shortcomings would be revealed. Employees were busy getting ready for one another day of serving their wealthy visitors. Aiden at the reception desk. The clerk was behind the counter already. Refined manner that is firmly established. At least he didn't see Snoop enter. Snoop initially took his time. Looking around the room with new eyes, he observed the employees exchanging briefs. Looks as they went by him with their expressions that twitched with interest and some discomfort. Maybe it was he exuded a serene authority that suggested something important when he went up to Aiden's front desk. "Good morning," I practiced smiling. "How may I assist you today, Sir?" Snoop did not reply right away. Instead, on the counter, placed a tiny black folder. He opened it, finding its edges clean and sharp. It gradually displays a pile of legal documents with Aiden's signature and stamp flickering perplexity. A faltering smile, I'm here to make an impression on his face. Snoop started his tone with an introduction. "Snoop Dogg is my name, and I'm firm but measured, and I am the new one as of this morning. The Regal Horizon Hotel's proprietor." The other chamber appeared to hold its breath. Employees froze in the middle of their tasks. Looking at Aiden's face in the lobby, he became pale and lost his cool. Disintegrating as he attempted to comprehend the Aiden. "I don't understand your words." His normally smooth confidence faltered. "Nothing to be found, so I'll keep things easy." Snoop kept his gaze fixed on the "this hotel is now under my control" Aiden's ownership, and I experienced the delight of seeing directly how a few employees greet prospective visitors. To put it simply, I wasn't impressed with Snoop's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Raised a hand to silence anyone who tried to a justification for not having to justify actions, speak louder than your words and deeds. Snoop turned to them because they spoke volumes. Speak to the employees presently assembled in the lobby with a mixture of fear on their faces. And those who were curious among them were those like the housekeeper Lana, who had consistently sensed the pervasiveness of silent prejudice, and Tom Porter, who had heard Aiden that night insulting remarks on specific visitors they observed with a mixture of hope and dread. I think in managing companies that stand for justice, decency, and unfortunately, this hotel's inclusion failed to meet that requirement. But that's going to alter as of right now. There was a noticeable tension in the room, although Snoop didn't let it to bother you all. Own the chance to develop with this new chapter, with the exception of those who decline. To treat each visitor with respect. I don't put up with prejudice of any kind. Aiden mumbled as his face turned red, muttering something, but Snoop didn't give him an opportunity to express your last night's activities are not appropriate in the "you're fired from this hotel's" future. Effective right away, Aiden's mouth fell open. However, the final words lingered in the air, and indeed the other employees observed some discreetly nodding, while others exchanged looks. Snoop saw the change as a cascade of undercomprehension that is permeating. To be clear, Snoop started in the room. He paced slowly and spoke in a stern, but not unkind. This goes beyond last night. This relates to the hotel's culture, the experience and the message it conveys. It offers everything to everyone who walks. The staff held on through those doors. His remarks and their steadfast focus. Last night's events weren't merely a slight to me. It was a mirror image of something far more expansive, a way of thinking that has not a place here from now on. This lodging establishment will symbolize the inclusivity and respect that implies a shift that begins with new regulations and instruction. Snoop pointed to Lana, who, having worked for the hotel for more than a decade. "Lana, what's your name?" Her voice was cautious yet optimistic as she responded. "All right, Lana," he murmured, giving her a comforting grin, "that you and the others the team will receive thorough training to guarantee each visitor feels appreciated, regardless of their location or identity. Originate from Lana and not her initials." Fear transforming into realizing that Snoop could see the other people, gradually starting to unwind as well, their shoulders that are less fixed in their expressions more transparent. "But allow me to clarify. Another thing," Snoop added, "I'm not here to unfairly punish everyone who makes a mistake. And development is achievable if you're ready to accept these adjustments. There's a spot here for you, but if not, he allowed it to be better for us all to separate ways." There is a brief period of silence that gives his statement that it's time to relax in this hotel has the capacity to be more than merely a location for conferences, or sleeping might serve as a symbol or beacon of what hospitality ought to be provided with the appropriate team. I'm confident we can accomplish it. Snoop stepped back, looking around. The mood of the room had changed, substantially after his arrival, where there had been tension and apprehension. Was cautiously optimistic, and I've already. To get things moving, he installed the general manager will arrive shortly. The plans for renovations will start next week. This marks a new beginning for, he continued, all of us with a faint smile. Together we can make this hotel something. Everyone should take pride in the staff exchange. Looks at a few whispering quietly amid. Snoop was able to observe that his message had struck a chord with the basis for the weeks that had seen change. The following were nothing less than groundbreaking for the Regal Horizon construction crews. For the hotel moved in, almost upgrading anything right away from the hotel's archaic decor. Walls of infrastructure that had previously felt sterile and frigid were repainted, using the lobby's welcoming and cozy atmosphere was changed into an area that felt a friendly, non-threatening environment where anybody may enter and sense they belong to Snoop's hands-on style. Directly supervising a large portion of the procedure, he wasn't the type of boss who shouted commands while he was there. Interacting with both employees and visitors, the team was inspired by the contagious spirit to accept the plan he had outlined. The training sessions turned into the foundation of the change. Experts were enlisted to take the lead. Seminars on equity and diversity, and these weren't lectures about inclusivity, but were discussions in which employees shared their encounters, challenged their prejudices, and discovered how to establish an atmosphere of sincere hospitality. Lana, the housekeeper, immediately distinguished herself. Her innate capacity for empathy and talent for her ability to solve problems led to a promotion. Addressing the assistant manager, "I never imagined she would give me this type of chance." Acknowledged to Snoop at one of their, he merely grinned and said, "Check-ins." Gained recognition for the hotels. The change spread swiftly from curiosity-driven visitors came back to observe the new developments for themselves. Visitors showed up captivated by the tales of the hotel's transformation. Reviews started to flood in, packed with commending not only the opulent accommodations, but for the atmosphere and environment of respect and kindness that infiltrated every encounter at once. Skewed perception of the Imperial. The Sunset Hotel was swapped out for one of Snoop's excellence in inclusion, certain to emphasize the tales of his teammates who had developed and prospered through the process of displaying the world. The transformation wasn't merely feasible, it was strong, and it was a clear morning when Snoop stood in the recently renovated hotel's remodeled lobby, enjoying a freshly made coffee while the sun shone. Via the huge windows that accentuate the gleaming marble flooring, and the new visitors, with flowers in every nook and cranny, rushed in and out. Welcomed with open arms by the every encounter with staff is evidence of the makeover of the hotel. Lana came up to him with a clipboard. The findings of the final guest survey are more than 90% of visitors brought up the hospitality as the focal point of their. Snoop grinned and put down his cup. "That's what I enjoy hearing, Lana. It's about more than just the structure. The individuals within it." As she left to manage another activity, Snoop paused to consider that the trip had been more rather than a commercial endeavor. It had been a reminder of the strength of advocating for, that's correct, he remembered he had been turned away that night. Occasion had spurred a transformation not only in the hotel, but in all those concerned, himself among others. While Aiden the former receptionist, had discovered his own lessons, the announcement of his termination had spread swiftly, and chances in the wine industry finally dried up. He discovered work in a much more modest environment where he was compelled to face his bias. For the first time, he started to recognize the consequences of his actions. Snoop, back at the Regal Horizon, observed a group of parents arriving with the father is accompanied by two small children. In someone who endured more than a passing, Snoop-like figure hesitated to shake his hand. "I read about your actions here." The man remarked, "Thank you, it's inspiring." Snoop only nodded, his face glowing. "Now everyone is welcome here. That's how it should have always been," he said. Snoop turned as the family moved on. His heart felt lighter as he approached the entryway. Has constructed a lot of things in his life, documents a brand's legacy. However, this was unique. This was a personal style. While in the busy lobby, he made a silent promise to himself that each visitor from now, knowing that, on would depart with a smile. They had received respectful treatment. They ultimately earned the Imperial. The Sunset Hotel was more than just a structure, served as a reminder and signal that change starts with a single brave deed and a conviction that everyone is entitled to courtesy.